Hi everyone, it's Chenso from RealityArtPod here to rank the Big Brother 27 players based on their performance in the game as of the end of Week 1's Thursday night eviction episode. Have they impressed me or disappointed me after my preseason rankings? Let's find out. Before I dive in, I put a link to my BB27 playlist for all my recaps and rankings. You can watch along by using my link to try Paramount Plus for free. As always, if you like the channel, consider liking and subscribing to follow along all summer. But let's dive into it. Firstly, this was a crazy week. With us missing so much of the feeds, it was so hard to find out what was really going on, what was the edit, and even coming into Wednesday, I wrote out 3 vote scenarios and all 3 were split. All of these players are thinking for themselves and have their own agendas. So much of these rankings and their standings were going to be based on who won Blockbuster, who was evicted. As it stands, we saw the eviction, but we didn't see an HOH comp during the episode. We lose Zay here. Had he stayed, this entire ranking would be different. It's a different dynamic altogether. Preseason, I ranked him 14th, and had he stayed, I probably would have put him higher than that. He would have pulled out a majority, and enough people genuinely like him that I think he could have lasted a few more rounds. But I'm glad he's gone. In 16th, I have Keanu, who last week was 13th. He was seen in the premiere broing out with Zay, and in the Sunday episode, Morgan painted Keanu as an accomplice suspect. So bad first impression. We never got an explanation as to why he was following Ava around, but she doesn't like him personally, and many of the others share in the same sentiment. Morgan continues to want to target him. She was confident they had 10 votes to do it. Had Vince not been a weenie, Keanu would have gone home. He spent a good chunk of time campaigning to get Jimmy backdoored, which Jimmy found out about, leading to him getting blown up on at the ceremony. Keanu is convinced that Rachel's out to get him. He also believes that the fans at home hate Rachel and that she's seen by us as a monster, which is such a bad read and so cringe. Wednesday night, he basically tells Rachel they're against each other, which was the catalyst for the Zay fight. All sides are rubbed the wrong way by him, either personally or strategically. If they're working with him, it's out of desperation for a number, but as it stands right now, the Rachel side don't even see him as a potential number, and the side he thinks he's on see him as expendable. He knew Zay was going home, and even after Rachel told him honestly that Zay had plotted against him, he still voted wrong. Not only is there a high likelihood that he's nominated this week, if he's on the block on Thursday, he's cooked. He's reaching pariah status in there fast, and since they can't stand being around him, I'm expecting him to be pre-jury. In 15th, I have Kelly, who I rated 16th last week. We're shown Kelly being very opinionated in the first 2 episodes. She's annoyed by Amy, she's seen helping to strategize about the accomplice, and spreads the gossip about Ashley's shower. She cozies up to HOH Vince. Why they felt so close, the show didn't seem to care, or maybe it was for no reason. But she makes a final 2 deal, then offers herself as a pawn in seemingly the same conversation. She doesn't get nominated, but still pushes the agenda to become the renob. While I think that was a terrible move, there are times when she wants to play the game, and she knows that they need to knock Rachel down, which was her main campaign against Amy. She saves herself from her impending doom in the Blockbuster competition, and even though she made dumb moves this week, she's still a smart girl. She has a decent mind for strategy at times. She was able to organize her points for her campaign, and she has a decent amount of people on her side. She shouldn't have been anywhere near the block this week. She had to have learned a lesson here, and while I don't think she'll be winning the season, if she's nominated against the other Amy voters, I think she has a good chance of staying, but as of now, her days are numbered. In 14th, I have Adrien, who last time I ranked 11th. In the premiere, he offered to play in the HOH comp, which helped him to make a deal with the HOH for safety for the week. He did well in the Relic Challenge, which made others feel like he was a comp threat. That was inevitable though, and if anything, it instills some fear of targeting him because of the Blockbuster Challenge. He's been reclusive around the house, fighting with the laundry machine. It ain't much, but it's honest work. Earlier today, I was prepared to rank him way higher, but he promised Zay his vote, and that led him to be one of the 5 votes for Amy. So if one of the majority voters win HOH and makes the logical move, he's likely on the block. There's some saving grace for him in that he joined the Bond Alliance, but that alliance didn't even vote together and has shown no signs of being real yet. I don't think he's in immediate danger, but the wrong voters really are in a tight spot right now. In 13th, I have Vince, who last week was 5th. He wins the HOH saying he wants to guarantee his safety for the week. He could have done that without winning since he was promised safety by the other players. He did not need to win this. Add on to that he didn't really want to be the HOH or make any decisions. He nominates Zay, fine, but nominating Ashley, going back on his word, is not good. And then Amy, just for being friends with her. The more I learn about the Ashley nomination, the more I blame him. Ashley wasn't in the shower for 2 hours. She was talking to Vince. So the fact that he still nominated her instead of owning up to his own actions and treating her like she was crazy and lying is weird. So I do think he's a weenie, and his final weenie move was nominating Kelly. He almost sent home his own friend, and by being a weenie wuss, he lost a lot of respect from the other players. I will say about his nominations, had he done the same nominations and just told us that his intention was to nominate people from both sides of the house and purposefully create a split house that was so toxic, I'd say it was genius strategy, but he's not owning it. Add on to that, he was about to break the tie and could basically be lumped in with the Amy voters. So yeah, he's a weenie, and after all this cowardice, I hope he still sees the block. In 12th, I have Riley, who last week was 10th. I want to think he's a better player than he is because they all seem to like him, and his name doesn't come up as a target, but he's totally digmatized by Catherine, and I think he changed his vote because she told him to. He lounges around in big groups, and the only big alliances he's in were things like Heavy Hitters, which he was never really a part of. He was just told he was in it after, and the Burger Boys, but he just voted out a Burger Boy. He doesn't seem to have a strong objective right now, other than being Catherine's lackey. I can't put him any higher. In 11th, I have Rachel, who last week I put 12th when it was Mystery House Guest. Firstly, a lot of the reasons she's so low aren't her fault. She enters after everyone else and is given the power to choose one person to save. She picks Will, who doesn't end up being loyal to her in the vote. The show sets her up to not have the worst time by giving her immunity this week. She's making some friends and allies, working her social game. She's playing the best she's ever played, and is laying the groundwork for what's going to be a tough climb to the end. Other players come to her for advice, and she gives pretty frank, unbiased advice, but she has opposition, and her relationship with Amy threatens the others. The show really threw her to the wolves here. People are itching to get her out. Sure, she got Zay out, one person who's out to get her, but I think this is the biggest challenge we've seen for a returnee. Sari came in a reality winner on her season, but she was in there with her son. Half the players had never even seen her play or heard of her, but these players know Rachel. They've seen clips. A lot of them think she's an evil villain that they can't trust, and they haven't even watched her seasons. Her greatest work so far is converting Jimmy from a hater to a frenemy. While I think she needed this week of safety, I don't think the show gave her enough of a leg up in the game. When I think of season 19, they gave Paul the friendship bracelets that led Paul to have so many people indebted. Paul was also safe for the first few weeks. Here, Rachel was only given the option to choose one person to save. Why not at least let her choose all of the have-nots? She's been honest with everyone, telling Keanu that Zay is coming for him, calling herself Keanu's coach. She even let Keanu cry on her shoulder, only for him to insinuate that she's an awful person after all of that. I think the argument with Zay helped her to save Amy, but it paints more of a target on Rachel. And I think if she's on the block on a Thursday, she likely won't be able to survive a vote. In 10th, I have Ashley, who last week was second. In the premiere, she made a deal with Vince to keep herself safe, and while we didn't see all of Showergate, I don't think that was her fault, but that doesn't change the fact that it happened. She became the House consensus nominee, and she showed the group that she's a competitor when she won the veto. The guys are already talking about targeting her, and if she, Rachel, and Amy go on the block together, they could take a shot at Ashley if Rachel saves herself. She also was flip-flopping on her vote last minute, which was bad for her game, but it's not all bad. She has close relationships with the women and a few of the men. She should either lean more into those relationships and turn them into alliances. And in 9th, I have Amy, who last week was 15th. In the premiere, she was seen being loud and all over the place, but we found out she was doing that on purpose to cover up being the accomplice. She completed all of her tasks. She didn't get caught, earning her spot in the game. She quickly makes a natural alliance with Rachel, which I like for her. That ended up coming in handy. From what we saw, she was nominated because she stood up for Ashley because Ashley took a shower. The reasons Amy was nominated this week, as far as we saw, were BS. I have her the highest of the Rachel, Ashley, Amy trio because I think that they're playing a similar game. There's a good chance that all three of them go on the block together, but I think if Amy can just stick around longer than Rachel, she could go really far in the game. For now, her alliance with Rachel is making them a target to the other side. I also gave bonus points for basically being up for eviction twice in 1 week and surviving both without having a meltdown. In 8th, I have Will, who I put 8th last week. I'd planned to put him much higher on this list until I watched the live show. Earlier in the week, Will was chosen by Rachel to be safe, which was great for him. He avoided being the first boot, and while he's not often on the live feeds, he used this week to bond with others, allowing the other men to make threats of themselves. He was invited into many alliances. The Rachel group loves him, Triple Threat likes him, he's in Burger Boys, and most recently he was involved in the Bond Alliance. But this eviction, voting wrong, promising Rachel to her face that he'd vote with them, and then doing the opposite, to me, it's just a random bad end to a good week, but I think in the near term he'll be fine. In 7th, I'm putting Jimmy, who last week was 6th. He wins the competition in the premiere. That helped him to make a deal with Vince, that kept him safe and gave him influence over nominations. He formed Triple Threat, which was great for his game, but Triple Threat has not really played too much into the story so far. I would have put him lower had he not cleared up his rivalry with Rachel, because that would have not been good for both of them. And while I think he stirs up a lot of drama, they know it's fake drama for TV and seem to forgive it instantly. It seems like he can get away with a lot. And of the people who are left in this top 7, he's the only one who was seriously almost a nominee, though I think he would have survived eviction had Vince nominated him. If he can eliminate a few of the people on the other side, he could get to a point where he's pitting people on his side against each other and slide through to the end. In 6th, I have Lauren, who last week was 7th. She had a quiet premiere. Zach quickly fell in love with her. Allegedly, she just wants to be friends. She clocks that the accomplice was a woman, which gave me hope that she had basic logic. She's been playing low-key, buddy-buddy with Catherine. She joined the Bond Alliance and made a final 2 with Vince within the last 24 hours. So there's game stuff happening, but she was flip-flopping all week, not wanting to commit her vote. I think it's obvious to the group that she would have voted Amy out if she could get away with it, and only voted with the girls out of fear that the girls would be mad at her. She waited to the very last minute to make up her mind. Her hesitancy to play the game could make her a weenie, just like her final 2. In 5th, I have Catherine, who last week was 4th. She's pretty quiet on the feeds. She's rarely involved with the game talk. As far as the game goes, she's doing a lot of the same stuff as as Lauren. They're seen as a duo, but while Lauren panders to the 5 or 6 people in the minority, Catherine's integrated into the majority with the girls. They want to bring Catherine in, but they don't because they don't trust Lauren. She also has her showman's thing with Riley, but while Lauren can't really control Zach, Catherine has her showman's whipped, and she made her commitment to her vote way earlier, stuck to it, and voted the right way, so she's a bit higher than Lauren. In fourth, I have Zach, who last week was ninth. Zach starts the week winning the 10K and being chosen for safety. Everything's just been working out for Zach. It seems like he could do no wrong by the others. He just does whatever he wants. He warned Ashley about her nomination, nobody cared. So a lot of why he's up so high is that he could just get away with stuff. Nobody's talking about targeting him. He's in multiple alliances and very active in the game. Yes, he was Zay's #1 ally, but Zay leaving is great for him. That connection is now severed. He did vote wrong and might be nominated if the majority wins HOH. The biggest reason I have him so high is he basically has the Big Brother hidden immunity idol. If he uses it, another of his allies probably goes up in his place, but still, it's a bonus life in the game and gives him a great chance of making it to jury. Add on to that his competition ability and his alliances, he's in a good place. In third, I'm putting Mickey, who I had third last week. Mickey's been well liked by the rest of the players since the start. She forms a strong alliance with Morgan and Jimmy in Triple Threat. She has bonds all over the house, but she's kept a low profile throughout the week. She's in a place where she could be running things if she wanted to, but she's laying very low. She'll be safe for a while because she has multiple shields in front of her, but I haven't seen her take the initiative yet. And for that reason, I can't put her much higher, though I like what I'm seeing, and she's doing what's right for now. In second, and probably the biggest jump in my rankings ever, is Ava, who last week I had 17th out of 17. She was low-key in the premiere. Mickey thought she was shady during the accomplice hunt, which labeled her a suspect, but she gets chosen by Zach to be a have-not and safe, which is fortunate for her. It gave her some wiggle room to play without being in danger. She avoided being nominated. Many of the players mentioned that they didn't get her in the beginning, but grew to love her over time. In the house, she's fun, but she takes the game very seriously, which is good. She gives good game advice to others, and she has her head on straight. She's well set up right now to cruise through the rest of the game. Bonus props for her deciding that she was going to save Amy and sticking with it even when her alliances were suggesting otherwise. It shows that she's someone to be respected. I was tempted to even put her as #1, but as #1 I have Morgan, who I just feel was more in the driver's seat of the house happenings for the whole week. She was pushing for a bro to go home as soon as the feeds came on, putting the pressure on that agenda from the start of the week, and she was involved in many important alliances, both fake and real, giving her the network to put in that work. She knows how to get things done, and since so much of this ranking is about the end outcome of the week, she achieved her clear objective, was in the majority, and she's in that tight 3 within the majority, which is a good setup. My concern for Morgan is she's not doing a good job of hiding that she's a gamer. She's running the game, but nobody seems to care, but she's still very outward and aggressive as a player. Zay even clocked her for winning at chess. I get big Vanessa vibes from her when she gets into game mode, but she knows how to talk to people. I'm just worried that she won't be able to escape being clocked. So those are my rankings for week 1. Let me know how wrong I am in the comments. 3 weeks from now, when Morgan's evicted, come tell me how I suck. But I love reading your rankings in the comments. If you like the video, consider liking and subscribing. I'll be back on Sunday to recap the nominations episode. Until next time, you know where to find me. Bye.